Today, I'm going to be answering some of your guys' questions about sports cards. If you don't follow me on Instagram, go ahead and follow me there. I put up a little post. People slid up and they asked me like some of their questions. I went ahead and wrote some of them down. I couldn't get to all of them because I do want to keep this video relatively short, but I do have my notes here. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions that I'm going to be answering today. So we're just going to get right into it. But first, of course, as always, what's up, y'all? It's Sports Cards here. You already know how it is. Let's get into it. So, the first question comes from CJ Kunkel 10 on Instagram. Shout out to you, my man. And the question that he actually asked two. He wanted me to talk a little bit about Marvin Bagley, but I might actually do that in like a separate video or a separate post. So that will come a little bit later. But the question that he was wondering was, he just wanted me to talk about the Pelicans' current system where Zion cannot be utilized. He's not getting the proper touches, right? He's not getting the touches that he needs to really succeed as a player. And I have multiple thoughts about this because I was wondering about it myself. But here's the thing with the Pelicans. The Pelicans have a lot of great players, but they are not a great team. Now, what do I mean by that? They have a lot of individuals who, in other situations, could be much better than they are on the Pelicans. But as a whole, this team does not fit well together, in my opinion. And in the end, that just results in some players underperforming or, you know, maybe taking shots away from other people. Or it's just a whole mess as a team, and I think that's what's happening here, right? Drew Bledsoe. He's a football player, well, was a football player for the Patriots, but Eric Bledsoe, he's most effective when driving into the paint, but both Steven Adams and Zion Williamson are going to be in the paint because they can't really stretch out, shoot the three ball, right? Lonzo is all right, but he's not exactly an excellent shooter either. He's a great playmaker, which is a nice piece to have on this team. And then you do have Brandon Ingram, who can shoot the ball, create for himself, create a little bit more for teammates as well. And then you have guys like J.J. Redick and Josh Hart coming off the bench, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who looks like he could potentially be something if he gets an opportunity. There's just a lot of questions with this team, a lot of guys that don't really fit well together, and they clash too much. And I think that ultimately that just leads to players performing worse than I think they would if they were in different situations, because there's just so many guys here that can't shoot, that can't really create for themselves enough, that, you know, they're gonna underperform in a lot of people's opinion. Another couple of things to mention about Zion is Steven Adams and Zion Williamson both get a lot of their points off of missed shots that either they took or their teammates took. Of course, you know, bullying people in the paint because they're both just giant. They're freakishly strong. And actually, Jackson Hayes is also getting a solid amount of offensive rebounds as well. He plays very similar to them. And so when they're both doing that, it does eventually take shots away from each other. They're both averaging less points than they did the year prior, I believe. I'm not completely sure about Adams, but I do know that Zion Williamson is averaging less. So that's all I have to talk about the Washington Wizards. Our next question comes from O.S. Campbell Soup on Instagram, and he asks, is Deni Avdija a good buy considering how bad the Wizards are doing at the moment? And here's the thing, no. Even though the Wizards suck, do not buy Deni Avdija now. Later, yes, you 100% should be considering buying Deni Avdija, especially if they and him are both performing at the same level that they are performing at the moment. Because here's the thing, there's currently no product out there, no card product besides college product out, and that ultimately just means that once pro product does come out with Deni Avdija in his Wizards uniform and, LaMelo Ball in his Hornets uniform and all of that, the price of that college product is going to drop drastically. So, my advice to you is, especially if the Wizards do continue to perform or underperform at this level, wait until the playoffs, because they're not going to be in the playoffs, obviously. By then, Prism will, of course, have released, and then what you should do is go ahead, buy some of that Prism during the playoffs, and hold for next season, hope for a rebuild at least next year, maybe the year after, because once they do, Deni Avdija will be the main ball handler on that team, and his statistics should look a lot better than they do now. The next question comes from Nathan20VN. Pretty simple. Buy, sell, hold Paul George. And I'm going to say I wouldn't really do anything. If you don't have any of it, don't buy it. If you have some, don't really sell it. And if you don't have any, don't buy it. But if you have some, don't really think about selling it, because here's the thing. First of all, there are very few rookie cards of Paul George. His main like true rookie is actually the 2010 Donruss rated rookie card. That kind of just goes to show just how little product there was for both 2010 and actually 2011. If you do have it, wait until the playoffs, because the Clippers are going to be like a top 2 seed, top 3 seed in the Western Conference. They're most likely going to make a deep run, and his cards are going to go up as time goes on, especially if he actually doesn't, underperform in the playoffs like he has the past 2 seasons, right? But that's really all I have to say about Paul George. Pretty in summary, don't buy it if you don't have it, but don't sell it if you do have it. The next question, the fourth question, comes from Cards KC on Instagram. He asks, is sealed wax a better investment than single cards? It's a very specific question. It depends on what type of investor you are. If you want to play things long term, the best way to go is buy some sealed wax and just wait, because as time goes on and those stars, as they build upon their legacies, the cards or the boxes, the wax that those cards come in, their rookie cards come in, those are going to go up while that player's cards go up. Very safe investment. If you want to be playing it safe as an investor, or you want to be going long term, sealed wax is the way to go. But you can sometimes make more money with the individual cards if you pick the right player. However, it's much more risky than it is to be going with sealed wax. So if you're holding a single card for the long term, it's much more risky than holding sealed wax. Also, buying individual cards is more frequently used for short-term plays, like within the next year, maybe the next 2 years. Then it's a better investment. Once again, a very specific question that heavily relies on what type of investor you are. This is not just a yes or no question. It very much depends on who you are. Self-awareness is key when you're thinking about a question like this. So you have to figure out, are you a long-term investor or are you a short-term investor? Do you have a high risk tolerance? Do you have a low risk tolerance? Are you willing to lose a lot of money? Are you not willing to lose a lot of money? You have to figure that out before you can answer this question, at least in my opinion. The second to last question comes from Card Stocks with a Z on Instagram, and he asks, what does he ask? He asks, who is the most undervalued Hall of Fame level NBA legend right now? I'm not a vintage guy whatsoever. I just got in within like the past year or so. I want to say like around August of 2019. And I didn't really start doing any research until like January or something like that. So my knowledge on vintage is very limited. However, I do know, and I think a lot of people do know, that Magic Johnson is going to be having a documentary release soon. And we've already seen what's happened with Michael Jordan. We've already seen what's happened with Tiger Woods. Magic Johnson is probably going to be the next up. So if you do want to buy a legend, an NBA legend of some sort, he's probably the way to go. You don't even have to buy like his true rookie. Maybe you find a really cheap rookie online. Maybe you find just a couple of really nice inserts of his as well. Those will all probably be going up when the documentary is released. Although, of course, there are going to be certain cards that will do better than others, but it's your job to try to figure that out, in my opinion. The last question comes from Raw2Slab on Instagram, and he asks, pros and cons of buying PSA versus BGS. I'm just going to say this, go with PSA. Especially if you're an investor. If you're a collector, you do whichever one you want, or whichever one you think is going to be the easiest grade for you for whatever card you specifically have. But if you are an investor, my advice is 9 times out of 10 go to PSA. If you do have like a very high end like RPA or something like that, send that to BGS. Get the subgrades and get the auto grades as well. That is going to probably sell for more than if it was just in a PSA slab. At least I believe so. But here's the thing. I just go with PSA. It just seems better for a couple of reasons. First of all, it obviously draws a higher price than BGS does. BGS also can take a really long time. It does take a really long time to get your cards back from BGS in comparison to PSA. If you think PSA is long, wait till you sub through BGS. It usually takes a little bit longer. But then also, something that really separates PSA and BGS for me is the fact that PSA, not even PSA, but the fact that BGS did not or has not really stepped in about their whole fake labels scandal, right? People have been making fake BGS slabs, and they have not stepped in to do anything whatsoever. That's just terrible customer service, in my opinion. Absolutely horrible for people that buy or grade using Beckett. I just don't think it's worth it, and that was kind of like the final straw for me. However, With BGS, I do like the fact that their labels, I think that their labels look a little bit better. Of course, it can depend on the card sometimes, but I tend to lean more towards BGS labels. But also, I really like the fact that they put cards in the sleeves before they put them in a slab. It's a very nice extra layer of protection. It also makes it easier for cracking if you do like to crack cards and send them to PSA, or resend them to BGS, whatever you like to do. I like that they put them in a sleeve just for that extra added protection. Anything else? I want to say I had something else to say, but I can't remember. So, that's all I have for you guys today. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and check out the other episodes or other videos that I have posted on whatever platform that you're listening to this episode on. Also, in the link, in the description is going to be a link tree for my social media, all my social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, this YouTube channel if you're not watching it on YouTube already. All of that is going to be linked in the description, so go ahead and check that out. I post a lot more content on there as well, and if you don't want to leave a comment on YouTube, you can go ahead and DM me or send me a message there, and I'll get right back to you. Once again, that's all I had for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.